This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to excuse my voice. I know you heard it yesterday when I did my 5 takeaways, and my voice is still a little bit hoarse. So, forgive me. But the New York Knicks take on the Toronto Raptors tonight at 6 p.m. And ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks must win this basketball game. They got to get a win over the Raptors. They're on a 3-game losing streak. And the Raptors have been an Achilles heel to the Knicks the entire season, at least the last month, I guess I'll say. Last month and a half. I mean, the Knicks beat them once, but the Raptors, ladies and gentlemen, have busted open the Knicks, have sent the Knicks reeling twice. The Knicks were on an 8-game win streak. The Raptors came into Madison Square Garden and chopped the Knicks down by the knees and sent the Knicks to a 5-game losing streak. And then just recently, the Knicks were on a nice little run. They were on a 3-4-game win streak, whatever it was. Before then, they were on another 3-game win streak. They lost a game in between to the Milwaukee Bucks. But then the Raptors came into Madison Square Garden again and beat the Knicks. And now the Knicks are once again in a losing streak. They're in the midst of a 3-game losing streak, ladies and gentlemen. The Raptors have been a thorn in the side of the Knicks this season. So I'm very, very glad that this is the last time that the Knicks will see the Raptors this season. So we got to get this win. We got to get this win. And what a time turns around. Things turn around so quick. Last week, ladies and gentlemen, Knicks fans, Giants fans were on top of the world because the Knicks were winning. The Giants just beat up on the Vikings and advanced in the playoffs. I don't know if I should say beat up on them, but, eliminated the Vikings. And now this week, the Knicks are in the middle of a 3-game losing streak, and the New York Giants just got demolished by the Philadelphia Eagles last night to be eliminated from the NFL playoffs. It was all good just a week ago. Now here we are. But anyway, the Knicks got to get this win tonight, ladies and gentlemen. They got to. Because over the last 15 games, when you really break it down and look at it, the Knicks have not played good basketball. Defensively, let me say that. Defensively, they haven't been good. They've been towards the bottom of the league defensively over the last 15 games. And, bottom line, that's not going to get it, ladies and gentlemen. If the Knicks plan on being a good basketball team and winning basketball games. 23rd in the league just doesn't get it. Over the last 15 games, the Knicks are 7-8, tied for the 15th best win percentage in the league. Their defensive rating is 117.6. That's 23rd in the NBA. Now, their offensive ratings, not bad, 118.1. That's 7th in the NBA. But you can't get it with just offense. You got to be able to play defense. You got to stop people on the defensive side. And now Mitchell Robinson is out. So that doesn't help. And if you watched the game versus the Atlanta Hawks, you'll quickly notice that Mitchell Robinson was missing, not just because you don't see his number or see him on the floor, but because the defense just isn't the same. The rim protection is not the same. The way that he makes people change their shots is not there. And listen, Jericho Sims, he's doing a fine job, or did a fine job in the absence of Mitchell Robinson, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. Mitchell Robinson, his length, his athleticism, you know what I mean? And I know Jericho Sims can jump, but he doesn't have the same length of arm that Mitchell Robinson does. So when Mitchell Robinson leaps and he reaches his arms out, you know what I mean? There's another foot there that players got to shoot over. And then his ability to defend in the pick and roll. And even every once in a while, Mitchell Robinson will jump in the passing lanes, get deflections. We're missing that. We missed it last versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Knicks got to deal with it for a little while. Now, the rumor out there is that the Knicks are looking to find someone to replace Mitchell Robinson, maybe at the trade deadline, not to replace him for good, but, for the time that he's out. The Knicks already, with Mitchell Robinson, over the last 15 games, had a poor defensive rating. Without him, what happens without him? I don't know. But the Knicks got to find a way to pull this game out. It's a big one, in my opinion. They got to stop the losing streak. And not just stop the losing streak, but they've also got to tie up this series. Right? Because if the Knicks lose the series to the Raptors, then when it comes to tiebreakers for the playoffs or the play-in, then, the Raptors win the tiebreaker. You at least got to tie the series and make that tiebreaker go to something else. So this is a must-win, in my opinion, for the Knicks. It's a must-win. They got to get this win. For the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson, we know, is out. Emmanuel Quickley is questionable, which means, what's our bench really going to be looking like if Emmanuel Quickley's not there? Scared to look at the bench. And the production that we get off the bench if Emmanuel Quickley's not there. But he's questionable for tonight. For the Raptors, OG Anunoby is questionable. Fred VanVleet is also questionable for tonight. I believe that Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby will play in this basketball game. They understand the importance of this game. So I do believe that they'll play. Right? Not only is it important to the standings, the Raptors, as we currently speak, on the outside of the play-in looking in, all right, they're 12th in the Eastern Conference. So if they want to make the playoffs, if they want to make the play-in, right now every single game is critically important for the Raptors because they're on the outside looking in. They're 10-27. The Knicks right now sit in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference, just one game above the Atlanta Hawks, who they just lost to. They're tied with the Miami Heat. All right, so the Knicks, they've got to try to stay pace. The Miami Heat play the New Orleans Pelicans today. Pre-game is starting at 3:30, so that may be something you want to pay attention to going into the Knicks game tonight. If the Heat loses, or if the Heat lose, I said loses, if they lose and the Knicks win, the Knicks will be back in the sixth seed. If the Knicks win, if the Knicks lose, and the Heat win, then Miami will stay in that 6th seed, but they'll be a game above the Knicks. If they both lose, then they both stay in the same spot. If they both win, then they both stay in the same spot. So the Knicks got to do their part and win versus the Raptors tonight. Got to do their part. The Raptors, we just told you, they're out on the outside looking in for that play-in. Right now, they are a half game behind the Washington Wizards for the 11th spot. They're 2 full games behind the Chicago Bulls for the 10th spot. So if they want to get in, they need to win every game that they can, ladies and gentlemen. So again, looking at the injury list for the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson is out. Emmanuel Quickly is questionable. OG Anunoby for the Raptors is questionable. Fred VanVleet is also questionable, which leads us to the starting lineups. And by this time, ladies and gentlemen, we know these two teams very, very well. We know how they match up. It's not a good matchup for the New York Knicks. I cannot stand this matchup, which is the reason why I'm so glad that we're almost done playing them. If we can pull out this win this time, we can be through with these guys for the season. But for the Knicks, you got Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett. I don't know why I just said it in that order. Let me say it again. Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jericho Sims. We'll talk about the Jericho Sims matchup. For the Toronto Raptors, I expect that Fred VanVleet is going to play, so I got him here in the lineup. I expect OG Anunoby to play, so I have them both in the lineup. This is an important game. Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. And I expect, because this is the 4th time that these two teams have played within the matter of a month and a half, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an intense, scrappy, playoff-type basketball game. It's going to be a battle. No doubt. There's no two ways around it. It's going to be a battle. You know what I mean? The last game got a little bit chippy. Scotty Barnes talking trash to Quentin Grimes. The game got chippy. And I'm expecting it's going to get a little bit more chippy today. The Toronto Raptors on December the 21st beat the Knicks 113-106. And then the Knicks beat the Raptors 112-108 on January 6th. And then the Knicks just lost a couple of days ago to the Raptors 123-121 in overtime. This is the 4th game in a matter of a month, not even a month and a half, in a matter of a month, ladies and gentlemen. These two teams, I'm sure, are tired of each other. Very tired of each other. So I'm expecting it to be a battle, and the Knicks should be desperate right now. They should be desperate. The Raptors, I'm sure they're desperate. They're in desperation mode right now, every time they step on the floor because of their record, and they do want to make that play-in. They've lost 3 in a row, just like the Knicks. So both teams are coming in kind of desperate to win and snap the losing streak. I'm sure the Raptors are glad to be seeing the Knicks because they know they match up well, but they're also a little bit leery about seeing the Knicks because they know the Knicks are going to come in with a little bit more desperation than them. Or they should come in with a little bit more desperation than them because they're on a losing streak and because the Raptors just won at Madison Square Garden. But I want to talk about this Jericho Sims and Pascal Siakam matchup. Right, because it's a matchup that concerned me even when Mitchell Robinson is out there on the floor, and it continues to concern me with Jericho Sims out there. Right, because Pascal Siakam is, he's shifty for being a big man. He can get from side to side, good lateral movement. He can go off the dribble. He can shoot the three, post up a little bit. He does a lot of things, and he's done a good job against the Knicks of getting to the line. So my concern with Jericho Sims, and while Jericho Sims is, a decent enough defender on the ball, can he stay in front of Pascal Siakam? Can he guard him on the perimeter? These are the things that I'm concerned about when it comes to Jericho Sims. Because while Jericho Sims is definitely an athlete, he doesn't have. He's done a decent job guarding, playing defense on guards on the perimeter, but that's not his forte. It's not what he does. I'm sure he's much more comfortable defending on the block or around the box area. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit concerned about that matchup there. Pascal Siakam in the last game, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Almost a triple-double for Pascal in the last game. The game before that, when the Knicks when the Knicks had a victory of 112-108, Pascal Siakam was 18 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. And then the first game that they played at Madison Square Garden, he had one of the best games of his career, where he dropped 52 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists against the Knicks. So it's definitely a matchup to be concerned about. He's done it in different ways versus the Knicks. All right, another matchup to be concerned about, ladies and gentlemen, which this should be a battle. Fred VanVleet and Jalen Brunson. The last game they played, Fred VanVleet dropped 33 points and 8 assists. All right, Jalen Brunson, he had an okay game. He took 29 shot attempts, Jalen Brunson, the last time they played. He had 26 points and 7 rebounds. That's a battle to watch. A battle to watch right there. And Fred VanVleet almost gave the Knicks the game. I mean, bottom line, down the end of the game when R.J. Barrett dunked the ball, when he got that fast break and he dunked it, he did get fouled by Scotty Barnes. He should have been on the line, but, the Knicks didn't hit free throws down the stretch of the game. They should have hit those free throws. But if you recall, Fred VanVleet fouled, I believe it was Jalen Brunson, to send Jalen Brunson to the line. Jalen Brunson missed one of those free throws, which hurts the Knicks, which did hurt the Knicks. But we can't go back and rehash that. We got to try to fix it and do it better tonight, 6 p.m. versus the Raptors, ladies and gentlemen. But that matchup is going to be a major matchup, Jalen Brunson and Fred VanVleet. They're two guys that almost mirror each other. Style of play, their path to the NBA. Neither one of them with lightning quick speed. Both of them can shoot the three. Both of them are clutch. Both of them are tough-minded. That's a battle right there by itself. When you look at these two teams, they almost mirror each other besides Pascal Siakam. Right? When you look at the Raptors, they have guys in every single position that can handle the ball, that can take it out on the perimeter, that can go get their own shot. The Knicks have guys in every position except for the center spot. And this makes it tough for the Knicks. It definitely does. Quentin Grimes and Gary Trent Jr. As a matter of fact, let me switch over to the defensive matchups, because the defensive matchups are pretty much the same as what you see on the screen. Jalen Brunson and Fred VanVleet, Quentin Grimes, Gary Trent Jr., R.J. Barrett, O.G. Anunoby, Julius Randle, Scotty Barnes, Jericho Sims, and Pascal Siakam. And I'm pretty positive that they are going to guard the Knicks the same way going the other way. So Quentin Grimes, Gary Trent Jr., I don't want to say that they're mirror images of one another, but similar basketball players, 3-point shooters, 3-and-D guys. Very similar guys. Quentin Grimes a little bit earlier in his career than Gary Trent Jr. Right? I mean, I expect that matchup to be, hopefully, they play to a standstill. Gary Trent Jr., the last time the Knicks and the Raptors played, he did his thing, 18 points, 6 for 14 from the field, 4 for 8 from the three-point line. All right, Quentin Grimes, he had 10 points, 2 for 4 from the three-point line, 3 for 5 from the field. All right, both of those guys are there to do the same thing, shoot the ball and play some defense, and they both do it well. I expect that matchup to offset each other. Right, in the previous game where the Knicks won the game 112-108, Quentin Grimes had 16 points. And in that game, Gary Trent Jr. had 27. So Gary Trent Jr. has been doing his thing against the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Quentin Grimes, and a lot of people complain about Quentin Grimes getting toasted against the Atlanta Hawks. I still thought you should have brought him back in the game in the fourth quarter. Everybody was getting toasted by the Hawks. You needed as much defense out there on the floor that you could get, in my opinion. First game they played, Gary Trent Jr. did not play. All right, due to he was out, so he did not play, not feeling well, whatever it was. He either injury or illness, I don't remember, but he did not play versus the Knicks. The last 2 games he's come off, he's gotten his thing off. So Quentin Grimes better be ready to defend Gary Trent Jr., ladies and gentlemen. Then you got R.J. Barrett and OG Anunoby, 2 more guys that are very similar in style of play. Very similar in style of play. R.J. Barrett's so far played 2 games against the Toronto Raptors. He's played well, 32. He's averaging 31 points versus the Raptors, shooting 50% from the field and 40% from 3. 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists. The Knicks are going to need that from RJ tonight. You know what I mean? The Knicks got to come in determined. And RJ's got to, be one of the guys to lead the pack. OG Anunoby versus the Knicks. He's been okay. 12.7 points. Not really shooting crazy from the field. 43% from the field and 23% from the three-point line. And 3 games versus the Knicks so far this season. The 2 guys that's really killed the Knicks this season, 3 guys, is Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Gary Trent Jr. Because then you got Scotty Barnes and Julius Randle. Scotty Barnes only averaging 11.7 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, 4 assists against the New York Knicks. And Julius Randle, he's averaging 27.7 points per game versus the Raptors. I'm expecting Julius Randle to have a similar type of game today. He's averaging 27.7 points per game, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. Shooting 50.8% from the field and 35% from 3. The Knicks need their guys, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson, to step in and ball out. They got to lead this team. And if Emmanuel Quickley is out, the Knicks cannot afford either one of those guys to not play well today. They cannot afford those guys to not play well. All 3 of them got to defend well, shoot well, play well in order for the Knicks to get this game. And this is a big game, as I continue to say. It's a big one. So they got, we need those guys to ball. Those guys got to hoop. Somebody's going to have to step up. If Emmanuel Quickley is out, somebody's going to have to step up. It'll have to be Quentin Grimes, ladies and gentlemen. Quentin Grimes will have to step up. Nobody on the bench is going to do it. Nobody. Obi, I don't think, is going to step up. He's not the kind of guy that's going to have the ball in his hands creating. Hartenstein's not going to do it. if Emmanuel quickly is out, you might see Derrick Rose or Evan Fournier. Not exactly sure which one he goes with or who he's going to go with. All right. Don't know who he's going to go with. So that's something to watch for as we talk about the bench. Right? Emmanuel quickly, again, is questionable for tonight. Then you got Deuce McBride, you got Obi Toppin, and you got Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't know. I guess it would be Evan Fournier. But part of the Knicks' issue has been defense. Right? Offense is not the reason they're not winning games right now or they've been playing bad. It's been the defense. They cannot get stops. They gave up 139 points to the Atlanta Hawks the other night in regulation. Can't get stops. Now, I'm not saying that Derrick Rose is going to come in and get major stops. But is Evan Fournier? I mean, Derrick Rose probably has a better chance to, play some defense than Evan Fournier. I don't know. We'll see what Tom Thibodeau decides to do. I see Andy in the chat saying Evan Fournier with exclamation marks. I'll say this. The last time, Andy, the Knicks were really, really down, he chose to go with Evan Fournier. But, this could be a different set of circumstances depending on who you're playing. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Paris Duggar, thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate you. He said, and let me get it across the screen really quick. Tibbs is in trouble if he doesn't use the roster to win. Well, he's going to use the roster. He's not going to use Cam. We know that's not going to happen. Right? We know he's not using Cam, but you would expect he's going to use either Evan Fournier or Derrick Rose. Either one of those guys, they're going to get limited minutes. When you look at the amount of minutes that the benches have played against each other in this series so far, the Knicks bench has played 10.9 minutes against Toronto's bench, and Toronto's bench has played 10.5 minutes against the Knicks bench. So I'm not I don't know. I mean, I'm not, no matter who plays, I'm not expecting them to play a ton of minutes anyway. Right? The Knicks bench versus the Raptors is averaging 15 points a game, 11 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks, 2.6 turnovers, shooting 41% from the field and 33% from three. Now, a couple of these games, Emmanuel quickly was in the starting unit. So he didn't come off the bench. So obviously that changes the outlook of the bench. All right, for the Toronto Raptors, they don't have a particularly deep bench. They've only played, again, 10.5 minutes against the Knicks. They're averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.3 steals, 1.7 blocks, 1.1 turnovers, only shooting 37.5% from the field and 21% from the three-point line, 90% from the free throw line. So, how much does the bench impact the game? We'll see. Obviously, if Emmanuel quickly is out, that's a big impact right there. Because he's playing good defense. He's playing under control offensively. He's giving you 10 to 12 points per game or whatever it is. That hurts. But you can expect, I think, more minutes from Quentin Grimes, more minutes from R.J. Barrett. Right? And that's another thing. He could decide, you know what? I'm just going to throw minutes to Quentin Grimes and R.J. Barrett. And I'm going to rock with Deuce, Grimes, R.J., Obi, and iHeart. Don't be surprised if you see that. That's only 8 players. Only 8. And I know people will go crazy. They'll go crazy because people are already mad at Tibbs, for not playing guys, not using his bench. You seen what Paris Duggar just said, right? If you don't use your players, you should be out of here. So if, Tibbs decides, that he's just going to rock with 8 players, people are going to be livid. You can imagine that. They're going to be livid at Tom Thibodeau. Listen, sometimes it happens that way, man. I just played a game the other night, and I essentially only had 6 players. Had a player in foul trouble. One player, she jammed her neck, so she couldn't finish playing. So I was down to just 6 people that could actually play. Sometimes you got to do it that way. I got a young lady who just suffered an torn ACL. So now she won't be able to get back on the court until next year sometime. 8 months from now or something like that. Sometimes you got to go with, what you got to go with. My situation is different. Obviously, it's high school and just don't have that many players. Tom Thibodeau has some guys there, but he doesn't trust those guys, obviously. Because if you trust them, you play them. He don't trust them. Not that he doesn't trust them offensively. He doesn't trust them defensively. So we'll see if he decides to use the lineup today. I mean, I would recommend that he does so that you're not killing these guys. And you know what type of game this is going to be, an aggressive, physical basketball game. So you gotta use your bench as much as possible because they're gonna be tired. No doubt about it. They're gonna be tired. Their legs are gonna get weak. This is the 4th time they've played the Raptors. They're tired of each other. And so it's going to be physical. Tempers might flare. The game is going to be aggressive. You know what? Those type of games wear on your legs. It wears on your body. You know what I'm saying? You become sore. You're going to get little knick-knack injuries, this, that, and the third. You got to use your players. You know what I mean? You got to use your players to help save the bodies of the guys that's out there on the floor so that they can go on and play some more minutes for you, play in the next game, so on and so forth. So, we'll see what Tibbs decides to do today. 6 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? We'll see what he decides to do today. Big game for the Knicks and the Raptors. Looking at what they've done against each other for the season, folks. The Knicks are 1-2 versus the Raptors. 1-2, averaging 113 points per game, 47.7 rebounds, 20.3 assists, 14 turnovers. They're shooting 47.7% from the field and 38.3% from 3, 72.2% from the free throw line. They're shooting the ball well versus the Raptors, although the game is physical. It's intense. It's aggressive. They're shooting it well. Over 3 games, let's say that. A little bit higher on the turnovers than usual, 14 per game. Right? But when you play an aggressive style of game, you expect a little bit more, a higher turnover rate. The last game the Knicks and the Raptors played, the Knicks shot 42% and 29% from 3. Okay, that's the last game that they played. The Raptors didn't shoot much better, 39.6% and 29.5% from 3. It's the last game. Remember that. All right. The game before that, let me see. The Knicks shot the ball. Hold on. Let me get it back. Let me get it up there. The Knicks had a 17-point lead in that game. They were blowing the Raptors out. They shot 47% from the field and 43% from the three-point line. The Raptors came back in that game, though. Obviously, the Raptors are going to do that. But another one of those games where the Knicks allowed a team back in. All right, the first game versus the Raptors, again, scrappy game. Right, the Knicks shot the ball 55%, 42% from three, but they weren't able to pull that game out, right? The Raptors had a 14-point lead in that game. The Raptors won at 113-106. All right, the Knicks' biggest lead in that game was 5. There were 12 lead changes, 13 ties. The Knicks shot the ball well. They couldn't get stops. Pascal Siakam went crazy. 52 points. They couldn't stop him. He lived on the line. As a matter of fact, in that first game, Pascal Siakam, ladies and gentlemen, you talk about, he went to the line 16 of 18 times. The only other person to shoot a free throw in that game was Fred VanVleet. He was 4 for 4. Pascal Siakam was 16 for 18. The only other Raptor to shoot a free throw in that game. That game was crazy. Weird stuff happens when the Knicks play the Raptors. Weird stuff happens. The Raptors versus the Knicks haven't really shot the ball well. 42.1% from the field, 29.9% from the three-point line. Right? 42 rebounds, 22 assists per game. Only turning the ball over 6 times. Here is the difference in the games. Right there. And, you know, the Knicks turn the ball over a little bit more versus the Raptors because it's a physical game. But the Raptors do not turn the ball over much. And versus the Knicks, they've only averaged 6 turnovers per game. There's your difference. So while the Knicks are shooting the ball well versus the Raptors average 8 less turnovers than the Knicks. 8 less turnovers, which means they probably get 8 more possessions. So when you break down these two teams for the season, right, I want to take a look at shot attempts. Because when you talk about these turnovers, it's going to come down to, you know, how many possessions, you know, the possessions that you get, the shot attempts that you get. Then, of course, are you making those shots, et cetera, et cetera. Right? But though that turnover number, the Knicks have got to either turn the ball over less today, continue to shoot well, turn the ball over less, or force them into turnovers. The Knicks are averaging 86 shot attempts versus the Toronto Raptors this season. The Raptors, now remember, the Knicks are shooting a high percentage, 47% from the field. The Raptors versus the Knicks are averaging 91 field goal attempts, and you can point to those turnovers. That's 6 more field goal attempts than the Knicks. 6 more field goal attempts, which evens out the game. You know what I mean? So the Knicks today, I think they've got to take care of the ball. Take care of the ball. Try to force the Raptors into some turnovers, and I don't know how you can because they got guys that just don't turn over the ball. So if you can't force them into turnovers, then you've got to take care of the ball. And then, you know, let's not let anything weird happen. I don't know how we battle against that. You know, I don't know how you battle against it, but don't let anything weird happen. The first game, Pascal Siakam, 52 points, had a career game. The Knicks win the second game. The third game, the Knicks had a lead in that game. You know, it was tight. Came down to the end. Obviously, went into overtime. You know, R.J. Barrett, you know, gets the full court dunk. Doesn't go to the foul line. The Knicks miss free throws down the end of the game, and then they collapse in overtime. You know, so don't let anything crazy, weird happen in this game today versus the Raptors. See if you can come out on top. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks got to get the win versus the Raptors tonight. They're on a 3-game losing streak. The Raptors are also on a 3-game losing streak. The game is being played in Toronto. The Knicks, that might be best for the Knicks right now anyway, because, with the Knicks on a 3-game losing streak, their defense not playing as well. They be in the Garden, and if they start playing bad, they start getting some boos, it may affect them. And then we really go into a tailspin. But if the Knicks can, they're at Scotia Bank Arena in Toronto, you know what I mean? The crowd is not going to be too crazy hard on the Knicks, in my opinion. They can go there, get a win. They've won a game already in Toronto, get a win, come back, feeling fresh, feeling, okay, the Knicks are 25-22. They'll be 26-22, 4 games above 500, ready for a tough stretch. You know what I mean? And maybe we can reverse it. So far, the Raptors have sent the Knicks reeling each time they've beat them. If the Knicks can maybe get this win and then, maybe it's the reverse effect. They can start to win basketball, win games, go on another streak or something. These streaks, the Knicks are streaky. Win 8, lose 5. Win 4, lose 1. Win 3, lose 3. Streaky. I don't like going on streaks like that. I want it to be something consistent. Win 3 games, lose 1. Win 4 games, lose 1. Win 3 games, lose 1. I'd rather it be like that. Maybe sometimes you lose 2 in a row. But I don't like going on 4, 5, 6 game losing streaks. I love the winning streaks, but I don't like going on the losing streaks. So, I don't know. We'll see what the Knicks can do tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be on the shoulders of Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and if Emmanuel Quickley's not playing, you need an X-Factor guy to step up, and I'm pointing to Quentin Grimes. Right? Quentin Grimes is going to have to step up, knock down some shots, play good defense. Don't let Gary Trent Jr. go crazy. He's scored 27 and 18 in the 2 games that he's played versus the Knicks. You don't want him to go crazy on you because he can. Fred VanVleet is gonna do his things versus the Knicks, which he, normally does. That's gonna be a battle, Fred VanVleet and Jalen Brunson. Need Jalen Brunson to, step up and play tough, which I believe he will. All right, don't let Pascal Siakam get off and go crazy. All right, and Scotty Barnes. I think last time the Knicks and the Raptors played, Scotty Barnes had, what did he have, like 26 points? Right? No, don't let Scotty Barnes get off. Don't let Scotty Barnes, Julius Randle should dominate that matchup, not let Scotty Barnes go crazy. Gary Trent Jr. versus the Knicks is averaging 22.5. Fred VanVleet is averaging 29.7 and 6 assists. Pascal Siakam is averaging 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. Those 3 guys, OG Anunoby, watch out for OG. He's averaging 12.7 points per game versus the Knicks. He hasn't had a breakout game versus the Knicks. He may be, it may be his turn. His number might get called by the universe or something. It may be his turn. The Knicks going to have to defend against that. For the Knicks, it's been R.J. Barrett. We talked about it a little bit earlier. R.J. Barrett, who's really done his thing against the Raptors in the 2 games that he's played. 31 points per game for R.J., 27.7 points, 13 rebounds for Julius, 19.7 points and 7.3 assists for Jalen Brunson. And Emmanuel Quickley, ladies and gentlemen, he's averaged 15.7 points versus the Raptors. I think he started in one of those games. if he's questionable, if he does not play, who steps up? Quentin Grimes is averaging 13 points per game. And we can't talk enough about the Knicks not having Mitchell Robinson. He's averaged 10 points and 10 rebounds versus the Raptors, to go along with 2 blocks. That right there can be a big key to the game. The Knicks not having Mitch. That's a big key. That's a big key. How do we guard Pascal Siakam? Does Tom Thibodeau decide to go small and use Julius Randle? And I'm not saying to start the game, but use Julius Randle some on Pascal Siakam while Obi Toppin plays Scotty Barnes. Could we see some of that lineup? Tom Thibodeau used it. I thought he used it at the wrong time in the last game. The Knicks needed defense and rebounds, and he brought in Obi and tried the small lineup with Obi and Randle. I thought that was a mistake. I talked about it in my 5 takeaways. So if you haven't checked out my 5 takeaways from the Atlanta Hawks game, make sure you go check that out. Make sure you go check that out. But I thought that was a mistake. Now, in this game, it could work. All right, Obi matched up with Scotty Barnes. Julius Randle matched up with Pascal Siakam. Yes, Pascal Siakam has the height advantage, but he can post up a little bit, but he's not a strong bang him down low post up type of guy. So I think that could work if you play that small lineup a little bit versus the Raptors. And then now you got 5 guys who can handle the basketball on the floor. You start the game that way? I don't know. If you start the game that way. I don't know if you start the game that way, but, throughout the game, I think we could see Tom Thibodeau use that lineup. Fabian Williams said we need 14 to 18 points from Grimes. I agree. We need Grimes to produce today. We definitely do. We need Grimes to produce. Big Mug Bob said the Raps are in tank mode. No worries. We got to worry. We got to worry because they're up 2-1 against the Knicks so far in the season series. And these two teams always play an aggressive game. The Raptors always seem to get the calls versus the Knicks. Stafford Don said Scotty is going to cook Obi. We'll see. Listen, Scotty Barnes hasn't always played great against the Knicks. You know what I mean? Averaging 12.7 points per game in 3 games versus the Knicks. Obviously Obi wasn't there for a number of those, for 2 or 3 of those basketball games at least. Right? Does he? If Obi is on him, I don't know. I'm sure I think Obi could do okay. Scotty Barnes has been shooting 35% and 30% from 3 against the Knicks. Joe White talking about Mitch because, the Knicks not going to have Mitch today. Said he's not going to lie. Mitch is a good player, but if our coming and going is based on a player that should be platooned or a bench player goes to show how much this team is talent deprived. What do you mean if our coming and going? You mean if our winning and losing is based on a player that should be platooned? I'm not exactly sure what you mean there, Joe White. Not exactly sure. So, E. Gibson said, agree, we need someone else besides our big 3 to give us some support scoring-wise. And normally that would be Emmanuel Quickly. Right? He's averaged, just about 15 points per game in his series. But if he's out, somebody else is going to have to step up. Either it's going to be Quentin Grimes or whoever Tom Thibodeau decides to play, whether it be Evan Fournier or Derrick Rose. We'd like to see them step up and get a couple of buckets coming off the bench. Right? A Big Commodity said we should bring Dwight Howard in for a workout to see what he still has. Maybe. I don't know, how long, what things look like with Mitchell Robinson. I've seen some, people talk about Mo Bamba because he's not playing for the Orlando Magic. Maybe bringing him in here. That could be. I don't, does he start? Does he actually come in and get minutes? I don't know. I don't know. Keith Turner said, our coach will do the opposite of everything you're saying to do. Let's hope not. Or if he does, let's hope the Knicks get a win. You know what I mean? My man Savvy D in the building said, Mitch is excellent at what he does. We got to chill with these narratives. I think he's talking to my man who was just, saying something about Mitch. I'm not exactly sure what my man was saying about Mitch at that time. King Josh said, Obi can't guard me. And speaking about, guarding Scotty Barnes, I still think, I still think you could go with that small lineup and you can maybe have some success against the Toronto Raptors today. If you use some of that small lineup, it doesn't have to be for long periods. You know what I mean? But I'm more concerned about Pascal Siakam being guarded by Jericho Sims. Not that Jericho Sims is a bad defender. It's just the matchup isn't good to me. So I'm more concerned about Pascal and Sims than I would be about Obi and Scotty Barnes, right? Obi guarding Scotty Barnes. I just don't want to see Pascal. I don't want to see Pascal Siakam, drop 40 or something on us. So there it is. Tonight's game, the Knicks versus the Toronto Raptors, 6 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're checking it out. I'll be live after the game to talk about whatever's going on. You know what I mean? So make sure you join me in the post-game show. I'm about to head off here now. Get some stuff on my throat because I'm still a little bit scratchy. And then I'll be back in the post-game show. Hopefully we come back and we're talking about a Knicks win. We're talking about the Knicks' 3-game losing streak being snapped. And the Knicks being, hopefully, maybe even back in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat are playing the New Orleans Pelicans right now, ladies and gentlemen. The game just started, and the Heat are down 16-6. These double-digit leads don't last long in the NBA, but they're down 16-8 now. The Pelicans, who they're 26-20 on the season, the Heat 25-22. If they can beat the Miami Heat, if the Knicks, who are 25-2, can beat the 25-22, can beat the 20-27 Toronto Raptors, then the Knicks will be back in that 6th seed. We got to hold on to it. We got to battle for it, ladies and gentlemen. All season long, we got to battle for that 6th seed. Right? Because right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're 29-19. They're not showing any signs of going on any kind of losing streaks or anything like that. So we got to battle for the 6th seed, and then hope that we can fight and claw our way up in the conference. It's not going to be easy because after the Knicks play the Raptors, they got a tougher schedule ahead. They got to be ready for this schedule, right? So after the Knicks play the Raptors tonight, then on Thursday, they get a couple of days of break to get themselves together. On Thursday, they play the Celtics. Then on Saturday, they play the Brooklyn Nets. Then on Tuesday, they play the Lakers. Then they play the Miami Heat. Right? So they have a, kind of a tough schedule coming up next. All right, I'll miss that Celtics game. I might be able to watch some of it, but I'll actually be watching Maryland and Michigan play women's basketball. Maryland and Michigan, I'll be there at the game, So I'll miss some of this game, but I'll still be doing the pregame and postgame. I'll probably be at the game watching both. But the Knicks got a tough schedule coming up, so it's key. That's even more of a reason why they've got to win tonight. They got to win tonight. There's several reasons they got to win tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But they got to get it, right? You want to be tied with the Toronto Raptors for tiebreaker purposes. You want to snap this losing streak. And then you got a tough schedule coming up. So you want to get as many wins as possible before that schedule kicks in. Shout out to Parrish Duggar again. Thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. He said, Obi needs to be put out there to face embarrassment to start playing well. Scotty Barnes is just what the doctor ordered to get Obi serious. I think the matchup between Obi and Scotty Barnes could be good. I really do. I think if Obi is out there and they play some small ball, I think Obi could have success against Scotty Barnes. We'll see if Tibbs puts that small ball lineup out there, ladies and gentlemen. But, folks, I'm heading up out of here. I appreciate your time. I'll catch you later on after the game, pregame show, and the postgame show. All right? I'll see you then, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passes, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.